I'm a pretty big Halo fan. That much is obvious. One look through my channel and you'll see my many, many Halo videos. So, you'll probably understand when I heard there's going to be a new Halo show. I was pretty excited. Even with the first few leaks that came out the year before the show release got me even more hyped. The photos of the Master Chief and the Prophet looked amazing, even though the lack of polish. And knowing the amazing lore of the Halo franchise, I just knew this show couldn't fail. Well, I was obviously wrong. The show promised great action and politics, but the only action half the time was some German guy and his goons chasing around a 13-year-old girl, and the politics was some random woman shitting on Halsey every 30 minutes for basically doing war crimes. But I'll get into that soon. Today, I'm going to talk about first the design of the show and looks of the Covenant and the characters and their castings, and then I'll finally talk about the story and why it's so bad and what they could have done to make it better. To start off, let's talk about the design and the art style of the show. The overall art style of the show, to be honest, is pretty good. From the deserts of the Insurrectionist planet to the UNSC compounds, they all look really solid. They all look really similar to Halo 4 and 5, since, they took a more hyper-realistic art style to the games, which in the games was, meh, but works great in the show. The Warthogs, Banshees, and Phantoms all look amazing, and they look like they were taken straight out of the games. Now, my only issue is the inside of Covenant locations like High Charity. They look pure white instead of the purple and blue we've grown to know since the first Halo. But fortunately, and kind of unfortunately, we barely see places like High Charity anyway, which is another issue I'll get into later. Now let's get into the design of the Covenant species in the show. The Prophets are the most influential race in the Halo games, since, they were the leaders of the Covenant, so you would guess they would look pretty good in the show. And in this case, you're actually right. The Prophets in this show look absolutely amazing. They look extremely similar to the Halo 2 Anniversary Prophets, which are pretty much the best looking Prophets out of any of the games, and they also look the most real in the show. And this is because they apparently used a combination of CGI and puppetry, which is really cool. The Elites, which are my favorite species in Halo, sadly have the weakest design in the show. Their armor ranges from what I only can describe as Arbiter sloppy seconds to a crappy version of the Elite Zealot from Halo 4. They look really disproportionate having such small arms and really buff bodies for the supposed samurai-like aliens they're supposed to be representing. At some angles they kind of work, but that's when there's no humans on screen to really compare. They also act really slow and brutish, which would kind of make sense if there was no brutes on the show, but there are. Like, look at this fight scene between two elites and Chief. They look like they can barely fight without falling over. And the only good thing about the elites in the show is the faces. They look amazing and really similar to Halo 2 Anniversary. And the energy sword is cool, and the plasma rifle. There's not too much to say about the jackals. They look pretty good. A perfect mix between the Halo 3 and the Halo 5 ones. And I thought it was cool to see them use energy daggers from Halo Reach, but sad we never see them to be snipers though. The grunts are probably the most accurate species in the entire show. They look exactly, and I mean exactly, like the Halo 2 Anniversary and the Halo Reach grunts. They have the same mannerisms when they walk and how they sleep on the job, just perfect all around. The brutes have two main designs in the show. The Halo Reach/Halo Wars one they use for the brute that's apparently Atriox, I'll get into that later, and the main one for all the other brutes that's basically just the Halo 3 design. Both designs look really good, especially the Gravity Hammer and the Gravity Mace. I do wish there was more scenes of these guys, but the ones they do have are the best scenes in the entire show. The Hunters only have one appearance in this entire show, and it's pretty much only of their worm-specific form, and basically half a second of the bottom half of their more normal bodies from the games. And we never see them as worms in the game, so I can't say if their behavior is, faithful or not. And the bottom half of the Hunter body looks good, I guess. And the worms, they look like worms? I don't know what to say for this one. Overall, the Covenant is the strongest part of the show, mostly looking and acting faithful to their game counterparts. But now that we're done with that, let's talk about the characters and their castings. First up is the Master Chief. The Master Chief, being the main character of the Halo franchise, has to be the most important character to cast and write. And personally, I like Pablo Schreiber as the Master Chief. His voice, in my opinion, is the second best out of the 4 Master Chief actors we've had so far. Sure, he's no Steve Downes, but he does the job as the badass superhuman pretty good. And when he actually gets those one-liners that Chief is famous for, he does them pretty well. But only if the story would let him shut the fuck up, instead of making him talk about his awakening bullshit for 5 goddamn seconds. But I'll get into that later. His armor is a great blend between Halo 3 and Halo 4's armor, and I really like it. Sad fact is we can't have 7 minutes without him taking off his helmet, or, going full ass naked, so what the hell, who cares? Cortana's the best casting in the entire show, since, it's the exact same actor as the games. And every time I hear Jen Taylor's voice in the show during its nonsensical plot, it reminds me, oh yeah, this is a show about Halo, the video game. Her design at first was hilariously bad, but to be honest, it really grew on me throughout the show and I started to like it. Halsey probably is the best new casting in the show next to Chief. Her casting is so good, I thought she was the original actor from Halo Reach and 5. The only real problem I have with her character is that in the show, she's much more mentally unstable than in the games and the books. Also, half her scenes in the show is just her getting scolded by that one woman, from the books I guess, I don't even remember her name, she was just kinda there the whole time. Captain and Miranda Keyes in the show are pretty different than in the games. In the games, Jacob is a smooth-talking captain who doesn't know how to keep his own pistol loaded and gets captured twice and also spends a page and a half of a book talking about a naked woman. Seriously, what the hell is wrong with this guy? In the show, he's actually a pretty standard captain who's actually competent in combat and feels a ton of guilt for helping Halsey with the Spartan program. Kidnapping kids and all. But I do miss his smooth-talking voice from Halo Combat Evolved. Miranda in the games is a commander who keeps the memories of her father alive by giving the worst one-liners in Halo history and forgetting that she could have just shot Truth to end the war. I don't even know how any of the Keys got any military positions in the games. They all seem so brain dead. In the show, instead of being a commander, she's actually a scientist studying the Covenant. Her arc in the show is basically her just handing on Halsey, for, being Halsey. Now that we're done talking about the characters and their castings, let's talk about the story. Which sure is a story, alright. The first episode starts out with the insurrectionists on generic sci-fi sand planet number 72, where we see them play card games while talking about how, ooh, scary the Spartans are. Then a group of kids, one of them being a new character named Kwan-Ha, goes out and looks for generic space drug number 47. But oh no, Kwan-Ha finds a phantom and tries to warn her friends about it. But then, the elites start coming out of the phantom and massacring the children. We see bodies flying, legs falling off, and it's a bloodbath all around. The massacring by the Covenant is really good in the show, or at least when the Covenant actually get to do something in the show. So after the child murder, Kwan-Ha runs back to the base to warn her father, General Ha, about the elites. And the elites have a pretty badass entrance and start another massacre, killing even more children in the process. But before the elites can finish off everyone, the Spartans arrive, and good lord, they're badass. The Spartans start massacring the elites left and right. Chief guns them down with a machine gun. The new Spartan Vanek grabs a pole and sticks it through another elite. It's just a pretty good battle. After they finish off all the elites, every insurrectionist is dead, but Kwan-Ha. So they just kind of leave her there and go in some random cave. Holy shit, they said the thing! After looking through the cave, they find an apparent Forerunner object. They are incredibly vague about the alien lore in the show, so we don't even know if they're called Forerunners. And Chief gets a flashback to his childhood. You might be wondering why this is important. Well, in this show, Halsey kind of brainwashes all the kids, in the Spartan program, so that's the new storyline, I guess. So after that, Chief takes Kwan-Ha to the Pelican to fly home to Reach. But while contemplating his existence, he gets a call to off Kwan-Ha for not cooperating with Miranda Keyes. But then, he refuses to, and even has a shittier going rogue story than Halo 5, where he just runs away from Reach. But then, he commits a sin, something that goes against the 10 Commandments. He takes off his helmet. Oh yeah, there's also this human Covenant Blessed One girl. She forsakes the entire lore and she lives on High Charity. She talks to Mercy for a few minutes, and for some reason he's pretty much Truth in the show, aka the leader of the Prophets. That makes no sense, but bonus points for the key ship. Episode 2 is pretty much one big filler episode. Chief and Kwan go to an asteroid that has generic underground sci-fi city number 43, where an old friend of Chief is there, who also happens to be a runaway Spartan. They exchange some boring dialogue and then go to a local crackhead who explains that only certain humans can access the mysterious MacGuffin object and are called Blessed Ones. It forsakes the entire Glamour thing, but whatever. Chief leaves Kwan with the ex-Spartan, who is also kind of a dick if I haven't mentioned that yet, but in this show who isn't. Also, the Blessed One girl captures a UNSC ship and massacres everyone with Gola worms. Episode 3 finally has Chief going back to Reach. While that is happening, Halsey makes a clone of herself to extract the brain juices to make Cortana. But while Halsey's clone is lying down paralyzed, but still conscious, might I add, her assistant named, I don't even remember his name, goes over to the body, and I kid you not, tries to kiss the paralyzed, helpless clone of his boss before euthanizing her. This is never touched on again. Then they take the brain juices from Halsey too and puts them in Chief's head, making Cortana. The rest of the episode is just Chief doing stuff with the artifact to get more flashbacks while he argues with Cortana and Halsey. Episode 4 is just a boring-ass episode. Chief and Halsey go to John's original planet, and we have a lesson on why Halsey is such a piece of shit. Kai decides to be a rebellious teen and takes a character off our naked character bingo. Some stuff happens with Miranda and Kwan-Ha, but I don't even care at this point. Episode 5 was probably the most anticipated episode besides Episode 1, mainly because the trailer for this episode showcased an all-out war zone between the Covenant and the UNSC, and this time, they actually delivered. The episode starts out with some boring stuff, just Chief and Halsey testing out the artifact they found in the cave. But after another test of Chief touching the artifact, he finally remembers all the horrible things Halsey has done to him and the other Spartan 2s. And instead of doing anything the actual Master Chief would do, aka shutting the fuck up, he tries to kill Halsey with the ground pound thing from Halo 5. But before he gets to hit her, Cortana turns him off, thank God. But sadly, all good things have to come to an end when Chief wakes up. But after some shenanigans with Kai and Chief, something unbelievably insane happens. The Covenant actually get to do something. Banshees start coming in and kamikazing the Pillar of Autumn stand-in, and Marines are dying left and right. Master Chief actually puts on his helmet and hops in a warthog with the artifact and some troops. It's amazing. Jackals and Grunts are landing from drop pods, and Grunt super combines a Marine with a Needler. It's all-out carnage. But Kai, like a child with hormones for the first time, decides to join the battle and ends up falling on the ground from an attacking Phantom and energy dagger-wielding Jackals. You know, the things elites had in Reach. So they decide to do the most badass thing the Chief does in the show. Master Chief, seeing a wounded Kai, jumps from a warthog onto a passing Banshee and proceeds to physically turn the wings so he fucking kamikazes the Phantom, and you see all the gutted and split in half Jackals. It's insane. And when all hope seems lost, Chief rises from the ashes of the destroyed Phantom like a unit, while Captain Keyes looks in awe at what a beast John is. But then, something bad happens. Kai's getting the shit beaten out of her by an elite, so Chief crushes the elite's skull, and it's gory as hell. But then, a spirit comes down to retrieve the artifact, and who else but Atriox comes out and just bitch smacks Chief, and just leaves without saying anything. The episode ends with Makee dropping from a carrier and being taken in by the UNSC. Episode 6 mainly focuses around the UNSC doing tests on Makee, aka the Blessed One from the Covenant, and Chief with the artifact. Besides that, the only real important thing is at the end of the episode when Makee and Chief touch the artifact at the same time, and basically what happens is they both get astral plane projected to, the Halo ring, which looks beautiful, by the way, has some great music to go along with it. But then, something happens. Something that definitely doesn't foreshadow anything. Chief touches Makee's face, weirdly. But don't worry, that doesn't mean anything, right? Right? Episode 7 is really, really goofy, but sadly I have to talk about it. So basically the episode focuses on Kwan-Ha after she abandoned Sorn. Yes, sorry I've not talked about the storyline because frankly I don't really care about it. And tries to liberate the insurrectionist planet from this goofy, stereotypical German guy and his goons. She then does the only redeeming part of the episode by using a sticky grenade from one of the dead elites from episode 1 of the show to kill one of the German guy's goons. There's also this really cool dream sequence when Master Chief beats the shit out of Kwan-Ha for no reason. I don't even know what it meant. The main lore reveal of the episode is, in fact, there's a well on the insurrectionist sand planet that leads to the Halo ring that years ago a monitor came out of and spoke to Kwan-Ha's granddad or something. This makes total sense. Wow, episode 7 really sucked. Can't wait to see what happens in episode 8. Oh god. Oh no. You know what, I'm just gonna skip the first half of the episode because I can't get over this. Chief and Makee do it. Yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, they fuck. Not only is Chief doing it with the girl from the Covenant, the people who killed half of humanity, a girl who he just met, but doing it with a prisoner of war, which Makee is a war crime. The Master Chief, John 117, committed a war crime. So yeah, Makee at the end of the episode just books it out of reach on a Phantom with the artifact to lend it to the Prophet so they can find the Halo ring. Episode 9 takes place right after Makee books it out of reach. Chief and Silver Team get into a Mexican standoff, but then some random shit happens and Halsey is replaced by a clone who dies. Knowing that Halsey's alive, Kat goes to her escaping ship and brutalizes Halsey's perverted assistant, but before Kat can get justice, Halsey escapes through a pod. Now that the Halsey storyline's out of the way, Silver Team makes it to the Covenant planet that Makee went to. They go there, but an honor guard reunites the stones and Chief has a stroke, I guess, and a grunt notices and an all-out brawl takes place. About 200 elites randomly come out of a mountain, it looks so goofy, and a bunch of honor guards and grunts try to kill the Spartans. But then, an honestly cool scene happens when a bunch of chieftains come out and try to beat the shit out of Chief to the Halo theme. But then, Atriox comes out to fuck more shit up, and in the end, Chief just gets stuck in the astral plane with Makee. But then, thank God, Kat just shoots Makee to get Chief out of the trance. Oh, and the Prophets get the Halo ring coordinates. In the end, Chief realizes he has to let Atriox kill him to let Cortana control his body, to save Silver Team and the artifacts. I guess Cortana can do that, I forgot to mention that. After Cortana massacres everyone in Chief's body, and including giving Atriox his car, they just let the Prophets just float there unharmed during the entire battle, and then just go to the ship and just leave them for, no reason. The season ends with a crappy monologue from Halsey or something. The end. So yeah, let's talk about why that was so bad. Where do we begin? Well, the first thing most people go to complain about is the fact that we can't even have 2 seconds without Chief taking his helmet off. Even when he does have it on, we still see his face for some reason. He also acts like a man-child most of the time, instead of the stoic, badass Master Chief we are used to at this point. Another thing is the boring Quan Ha storyline. It's so boring and unneeded, so it becomes annoying when they try to intertwine it with the Forerunners with the dumbass well and the Monitor and the Sand Planet. The last real issue is the weird and uncomfortable Makee and Chief storyline, which is basically just if Arbiter if he was human and a girl, and also, yeah, she just fucks with Chief. I can't even describe in words how weird and uncomfortable it was to watch on 3 a.m. on a Wednesday. But what could have made this dumpster fire of a show better? Well, in my opinion, they could have just gone with a more war-centered storyline about the Covenant versus humanity, instead of Chief learning who he truly is inside. And hey, if they wanted a more drama-esque storyline, they could have easily done one with the Covenant. The Covenant is so much more interesting than the show lets on. But in the end, this show is not going anywhere anytime soon. With a Season 2 filming right now... Oh, wait, Season 2 actually just finished filming. This video took me way too long to make. All we can hope for is an improvement, and maybe in Season 2, Chief will actually get to keep his pants on.